Welcome to A Change of Heart podcast. I'm your host, Angel Walston. And in this space, we navigate life together. We ask the hard questions like, what is the truth you haven't told? But most importantly, we grow together. And sometimes that leads to a change of heart. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Change of Heart podcast. I am your host, Angel Walston, and today we're going to be talking about healing your mindset. And I'm excited for this conversation, but I do feel like it might be a little bit on the heavy side. So I decided to do a fun, easy question of the day. So if you could live in a book, TV show, or movie, what would it be? And as I was thinking about this, initially I was going to say the show that is my favorite show ever, which is The Office. But the more I started to think about it, if I could be a part of any TV show, it would 100% be a different world. That's also like my top 5 of my favorite shows. And I just feel like, let me also preface it with this, not season 1. Anytime after season 1 was not that good, but any of the other seasons, that I just feel like it would be such a fun time, and just to go back to like the college experience and everything. I love that show. I think it would be great to be a part of that. So you all know the drill. Make sure that you let me know if you could live in a book, TV show, or movie, what would it be? And you can leave your answer in the comment section if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, or you can leave it in my stories in the question box on Instagram at Angel C. Walston. All right, so let's get into today's topic regarding healing your mindset. So I'm in the process of reading a book that was actually our book for the month of March for our book club. And I'm still reading it, even though we're into April, but that's my business. But it's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. For those of you who are watching, this is the book here. And in this book, one of the things that he talks about is the upper limit problem. And I wanted to spend some time not focusing on the upper limit problem, but focusing on our mindsets and how impactful our mindsets are on our growth, on our evolution, on us changing, on us becoming, how it impacts so many different areas of our lives. And a lot of times we don't realize the magnitude and the power that is attached to our mindset. And that can go in either way. It can go in a positive way, or it can go in a negative way. And typically when it goes in the negative way, it's a reflection of how we end up being held back by our own mindsets. It ain't by anybody else. But the reason why I brought up the Big Leap book is because one of the things that Gay Hendricks talks about is your upper limit problem. And just to paraphrase, pretty much your upper limit problem is when we all have like in our mind this level of happiness, success, wealth, whatever it might be, that we feel like we are capable of achieving. And once we get to the point where it's a possibility even that we can go beyond that, or even to think of the idea of going beyond the limits that we have placed on ourselves, we tend to self-sabotage. Go figure. And so I wanted to have this conversation because I believe that a lot of us are in this space where we have very big dreams, we have very big goals, we have these different things that we want to do. And the reality is what is standing in our way is not people, is not a lack of time, is not a lack of resources, it's your mindset. And learning how to shift your mindset can truly just open up your world, open up your mind in so many ways that can impact you almost instantly, in comparison to how your mindset can keep you stuck for decades. So with that being said, in focusing on this upper limit problem and in focusing on, and let me also say this, if you want a better explanation of the upper limit problem, read the book, because I'm really not going to go that deep into it. But in thinking about this idea that as we get closer to achieving our goals, in achieving the happiness that we've always wanted, achieving the love that we've always wanted, the closer that we get to those things specifically, the more we tend to start to talk ourselves out of it, the more we tend to believe the lie that we're not deserving of it. We start to self-sabotage in the way that we start causing issues that ain't really issues. Have you ever been there before? It's like you'll start to find something wrong, or you're looking for something wrong. And I'll be completely honest, this has been a good year. It's been busy, it's been a whole lot going on, but overall it's been a good year. And truth be told, I found myself feeling like, okay, when's the shoe gonna drop? When's the ball gonna drop? When is something bad gonna happen? Like just kind of anticipating it. And you gotta understand that even that mindset, that thinking can put you in a space that as you're looking for something to be wrong, you're looking for something to fall apart, you're looking for something to happen, it can put you in a position that you're not ever really present for what is taking place in the right now. And so I want you to think about, in what ways in your life are you self-sabotaging? So maybe you self-sabotage in the sense of there's a job that you want to apply for, but as you're looking through the qualifications, remember we talked about this in imposter syndrome, as you're looking through the qualifications, you feel like, you know, I could do this, but I don't really know what's going to happen. We come up with all of these excuses. We focus on the unknown. We focus on all of these different things that could potentially be a problem, that could potentially end up causing some kind of issue for ourselves, that we end up talking ourselves out of it. We can be in a position where we're in a relationship with someone who treats us well, who are, you know, being nice to us. They're doing all of the right things. They're saying all the right things. And they have not at this point given you any reason to believe that they're anything differently than who they say that they are and who they're presenting. And we all know, listen, there are some people who are trash, who put on, who pretend. Very much so aware of this, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and throw that disclaimer out there. We know, sis. We know. But there are also some people who are who they say they are. There are some people that what they present is true. And when you're not used to that, when you see it, you almost avoid it, or you try to find something wrong because you feel like it's too good to be true. Or in some cases, you feel like, I don't deserve to be loved this way, or I don't deserve to experience this happiness, because what you were used to, the mindset that has been shaped over the last couple of years based off of your experiences with people who have not treated you in the way that you deserve to be treated, that becomes the norm for you. So we can get to a place, catch this, where healthy behavior, healthy responses, healthy reactions and relationships, that can feel abnormal. And we can question a good person's, a healthy person's intentions, because it does not look like what we are used to in an unhealthy person. And the reality is, in learning how to heal your mindsets, it's having to be willing to accept, in some cases, your norm has been unhealthy. In some cases, your norm has been toxic. In some cases, your norm has been dysfunctional. And so in order for us to relearn and deprogram that norm, we got to get our mindsets right. We have to heal some things within our mind. So I want to talk through some things with you all today about healing your mindset, because as we are having these conversations, and y'all know what I'm pushing this season, be whole, be healed, be authentic. And thinking about this aspect of being healed, a part of it is learning how to heal our mindsets. And so as we are having this conversation, I want you to take the time to think about, in what ways do I need to heal my mindset? In what ways do I need to get rid of some thinking that I have carried along with me for way too long, that is no longer a representation of who I am today? Because where you are going, this journey that you are on, this leveling up that you were trying to do, you can't carry this old mindset into this new way of living. You have to gain a new way of thinking. You have to be willing to break down some of the roadblocks that have kept you in the same place and that have kept you stuck and stagnant for years. So the first thing that I want to talk about in regards to healing your mindset is being willing to have some honest conversations with yourself. And to give you an example of this, I posted on my Instagram a couple days, maybe a week or so ago, something that said, honor your boundaries, but be willing to acknowledge how those boundaries may be rooted in areas that you need to heal. And the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of times we can have good intentions in regards to wanting to set boundaries. And boundaries are healthy. I'm not knocking it. Set them. They're necessary. They are important. However, what is equally important is being able to realize and recognize that some of your boundaries that you have created may have been created from a broken place. Some of the boundaries that you have created may be in place as a defense mechanism more than it is a boundary. And it's important for you to be able to acknowledge that, because if your boundary is rooted in an unhealed place, it's still unhealthy. And we think that we are protecting ourselves when in reality we end up cutting ourselves off from people who can love us well, who can be a good support system for us, who can correct us. Hello, somebody. We need that as well. And so as you are thinking about this, I always say this, I will continue to say this, there is nothing like having a person who is unbiased, who don't know nothing about who you are, that does not care about who you are, what your platform is, or anything else like that, who you can talk to about real life things. So I will be the first person to say, I share a lot of my life on the internet. However, I am still a very private person. So when I'm dealing with things, there are very few people who I actually talk to about it, but for the most part, my therapist is the one who I share majority of my stuff with. There are friends that I tell certain things to, there are other friends that I tell other certain things to, but overall, my therapist is who I do majority of my talking. And of course, Jesus, because we've been in our prayer time and it's like, Lord, I gotta get some stuff off my chest. So I share that because I think it's really important to understand that there are people such as your family, your friends, siblings, all of that, who love you, who can encourage you, that can affirm you, that can validate you and do all of those things. And that is great. But they are not a licensed professional. And I'll even go as far to say this, even if they are a licensed professional, I still would caution you against going to them as a therapist because they're familiar with you. It's very different of having somebody who doesn't know anything about you, who is not concerned. I don't want to say not concerned about hurting your feelings, but will tell you what it is and what it ain't, because that's important. And sometimes we need to be told that I understand that you have set some things in place because you don't want to get your feelings hurt. You don't want to be in a space where you out here looking crazy. I get it. But you also have to understand how the boundaries that you have set are rooted in a place that you still need to heal from. Because what we end up doing, we call ourselves setting up boundaries when in reality, you are closing yourself off to people. And I am guilty of this myself. And that's why I'm bringing this up, is because that is something that I've had to learn, and I'm very much so still learning, that although it is good to have certain boundaries in place, my error is that my boundaries tend to be a cutoff. My boundaries there can be a wall that doesn't allow the good people to come in. So as we are talking about healing your mindset, I want you to take the time to consider how much of your mindset, what you've been conditioned to think, what you've been programmed to think, how much of that is rooted in hurt. How much of that is rooted in a broken place? How much of that is a defense mechanism? Because if you're able to get that healing and able to unwind and unlock a lot of the things that are tied to your mindset, that are tied to brokenness, that are tied to unhealthiness, that are tied to toxic, that are tied to situations that no longer serve you. And it really, we got to understand this. You can be far removed from something that happened to you, yet still carry the baggage that was associated with it. I'm gonna say that again, just so y'all catch it. You can be far removed, so time can be passed. You may feel as though you are over it. You may have even forgiven the person, but you still can have baggage that is associated with that event or that time in your life. And until you get to a place that you are fully healing in that area, your mindset is still going to be stuck in that time. So even if this is something that happened when you were 6 years old, if you don't allow that 6-year-old to be healed, you carry that as a 36-year-old. You carry that as a 56-year-old. And as a result of what happened to you at 6, or something you experienced at the age of 6, you now have carried this mindset of, I have to protect myself. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to be this. I have to be that. And you carry around this weight and this pressure that we call a boundary, when in reality, it's a place that needs to be healed. And there's nothing wrong with that. But once you're able to get to that place of healing, that helps to heal your mindset. And as your mindset is healed, it then helps you to create boundaries that are not just rooted in your defense mechanism, but they're healthy. They're ones that are necessary. And they are ones that will help you to continue to grow and to evolve into the woman who you've always wanted to be. Another thing in regards to healing your mindset, and I want to talk to the creatives in this space, because I know that whenever you are someone who has a creative mindset, when I say creative, I'm not just speaking on doing YouTube videos, podcasts, and things like that. Whenever you have a mindset to create in any type of capacity, we tend to be very self-critical people, okay? We tend to get into our heads. Things are never good enough. We can always find critiques and all of these different things. I want to challenge you, as I am challenging myself in healing this mindset. How much of your self-critique and how much of what you find error with, that you find problems with, how much of that is rooted in self-sabotage? Can we talk about it? Can we have a heart-to-heart, friend? Can we talk about it? Because full disclosure, I had a conversation with someone last Wednesday, actually, and I have some things I'm working on. We will share them soon. But I was driving home from church last week, and I felt myself just crying on the interstate. Real like Lifetime movie, real dramatic. And it's like, all right, calm it down, sis. But the reason why I was crying was because I had this moment of, what am I getting ready to do? What am I doing right now? Is this crazy? Am I in over my head? Like, why do I think that I can do this? What if this fails? I am investing so much time in this. I'm investing so much money in this. What if it does not go the way that I want it to? What if I'm doing all of this and it's for nothing? Like, has anyone else felt like that in anything that you're doing? Whether it's starting a YouTube channel, whether it's starting your blog, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's whatever it might be. And it could be starting a business. It could be starting your t-shirt line. It ain't gotta be about starting. You could already be in it. You could be doing stuff. You could be killing it, but you still have this mindset of the what ifs. And we start trying to figure out all of these different things of, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? Is this the right decision? And you get all in your head about it, and you feel as though you are failing and you haven't even really started yet. Hello? Anybody else feel like that? And taking it even a step further, realizing that as a believer, I always want to make sure that I check my heart, I check my motives. I always want to make sure that I'm never pursuing something out of selfish vainglory, that I'm not pursuing something that's outside of God's will, that I'm not pursuing something that is selfish ambition. Like, I always want to make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing, like, God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this what you want me to do? And listen, sometimes God be real silent, and I'm like, I'm gonna need an answer, but your timing is perfect, but I'm gonna need an answer. And the reason why I bring that up is because I believe that a lot of us, we get into our head like that, and we start telling ourselves that it's not going to work. It's not going to be good enough. We come up with all of these different issues, all of these different reasons why we shouldn't start, why it's going to fail. We talk ourselves out of it before we even start. And I want to encourage you, because I've been encouraged in this here recently, and I want to seriously encourage you in letting you know, especially for those of you who are in a space where it's like, I want to be in God's will. I 100% believe that even if we are to get outside of God's will, that He will steer us back to the path that He needs us to be on when we allow Him to do so. And I truly believe that if you even have the heart and the mind to say, God, I want to be in your will. I don't want to step outside of what you have for me in this season. I want to make sure that I don't get stuck in pride. I want to make sure that I'm not self-seeking. I want to make sure that I truly am honoring you in the things that you're calling me to do, in the ways that you are positioning me, the fact that that is your mindset alone speaks volumes. And the fact that that is your mindset, it goes to show you that God's not going to just let you go too far off. He will direct your paths as long as you have a heart that allows him to do so. And as we are going through this process of trying to figure things out, especially as creatives, as we are planning, as we are doing, as we are creating, we're going to find so many different things that we don't like. We're going to find so many different things that this isn't right. I wouldn't have done it like this. I shouldn't have done it like this. Am I doing it right? All of these different things are going to come up. You're going to feel like you're in over your head. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to wonder, is anybody going to watch? Is anybody going to listen? Is anybody going to buy it? You're going to have all of these different thoughts. Trust me when I say I get it. I get you. I am you. I get you. Okay? But you also have to understand that you were given the vision for a reason. And that's what I have to remind myself of. You were given the vision for a reason. So don't allow your mindset to keep you in a place where you allow the vision to remain dormant or stagnant because you refuse to act on it because you are so consumed in what you think the outcome might be. And catch this. We got to understand that a lot of times as we're talking about insecurity, we focus it on insecurity in the sense of your appearance, your worth, your value, all of that. Insecurity can also show up in your business. It can also show up in what you're creating. It can also show up in your creative space because a lot of times, most people who are creatives or have that creative mindset, a lot of us are perfectionists. And listen, perfectionism is just a more acceptable way to say you procrastinate because it's never good enough. And we have to get out of that because that is a bad habit that we have allowed to become acceptable because we say, well, we want to perfect it. No, you are playing with it. And at some point you have to get to the point where you say, okay, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to come in ready to go. I'm going to come in. I'm going to show up fully and I'm going to give it the best of my ability. I'm going to do my best and I will trust God with the rest. I will trust that if I show up and I do my part and I come ready and I put down what I'm supposed to put down, God will pick up what he's supposed to pick up. And I think it's really important for us to even heal this perfectionism mindset because a lot of us are allowing this idea of perfectionism to keep us stalled. We are allowing ourselves to stay in a place that God tried to pull us out of 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago because we're waiting for perfect. Perfect ain't gonna exist. Let me go ahead and say that. You will always be able to find something that you don't like, that you wish you would change, that you wish that you could have fixed. It's always going to be something. That's just how our minds are wired. We will always be able to find something. But we have to get to a place where we stop allowing that to be an excuse for us to be lazy. We have to stop allowing that to be an excuse for us to stay the same and not do what it is that we are supposed to be doing. We have to recognize that the vision is bigger than us. It's so much bigger than us. And I feel like we always tell people that there are people who are waiting for you to show up. There are people that are waiting for you to start. There are people who are attached to your obedience. And that's true. Yes. But at some point, we can't just do things based off of somebody else. And let me be very clear about this. Yes, I 100% believe that there are people who are attached to your obedience. There are people who need you to be who God created you to be because there is something in you that they can benefit from that can help them to learn how to be who God created them to be. I 100% believe that. However, it's also important for you to show up and be who God created you to be because God created you to be that person. And we can't rely on somebody else to be the reason why we be who God created us to be. The fact that he created us to be something is enough for us to be who he created us to be. And we can no longer play around with that. We need to show up, not just because, oh, there are people attached to my obedience. I need to show up because God put something on the inside of me and I honor that. I need to show up because God entrusted me with a vision that I cannot play around with. I need to show up because God has gifted me in a way that I'm not going to sit here and allow that to waste away. It can't just be attached to somebody else. A part of that healing the mindset is being able to really receive and sit in who it is that God has created you to be, who He has called you to be. I did a whole episode last week talking about finding your purpose in an influencer-driven world. And listen, this is a season where it is time for us to raise up. This is a season where it is time for you to be who God has called you to be. This is a season for you to heal your insecurities. This is a season for you to heal your mindsets. This is a season for you to really walk in purpose. This is a season for you to really be all the things that God has created you to be because He's called you to be that. Not simply just because it's attached to other people, but because He's placed something on the inside of you and you can no longer sit on it. You can no longer allow for it to lay dormant. You can no longer be content with being mediocre. You can no longer be content with remaining the same because God has placed something on the inside of you that is too powerful and is too necessary for such a time as this for you to waste it away. I really don't be trying to preach to y'all, but I need you to understand the urgency because some of us believe that, oh, we just have more time. We just have more time. And I remember seeing a meme that says something along the lines of procrastination is like the prideful assumption that God should give you more time to do what He's already giving you time to do. That's a bad paraphrase of it, but y'all get the gist of it. But I'm sharing all of this because the reason why I'm talking about healing your mindset is because for a lot of you, the reason why you have not stepped into the thing that God has told you to do is because you're still allowing all of these different lies about who you are to be manifested in your mind. You're still allowing all of these things that people said about you from when you were in high school, what your family said about you, for those who said that you would never be anything, that you don't have anything to offer this world. You're still allowing all of that to get into your mind. You have to learn how to uncondition and how to break down a lot of the mentalities that have built this construct within your mind that is in complete contrast to who it is that God has created you to be. And until you heal that mindset, you're going to constantly feel insecure. You're going to constantly feel unqualified. You're going to constantly feel unworthy. You're going to constantly feel as though you're not good enough. You have to allow yourself to get into a space where you say, I'm going to be who God says that I am. I might not be feeling it right now, but I'm going to show up. I might not want to do it right now, but I'm going to show up. I might be scared, but I know that the Lord goes before me. I don't know how this is going to look. I don't know how this is going to happen, but I believe that this is what I am called to. It is time for us to rise up, ladies. And this really is not about healing your mindset, just in case y'all have not picked up on it by this point. We're very much so off script, but I feel like it's necessary. It's so necessary because I truly do believe that it is time for us to rise up and be who God has called us to be, not just because there are people who are attached to our obedience and who need us to be who God has called us to be, although that is very much so true, important, and necessary, but it's also about us becoming very confident and bold in who we are, who it is that He has created us to be, and being able to be in a position where we say, God, I'm going to do what you said that you wanted me to do. I'm going to be who you created me to be. I'm going to be who you told me to be. And I'm going to do that in confidence. I'm going to do that boldly because I believe what it is that you've placed on the inside of me. I believe the vision that you have given to me. And I'm no longer going to allow anything that goes against what your word says about me, what you say about me. I'm no longer going to put myself in a position to allow myself or people to talk in opposition of that. So start considering the conversations that you are having with yourself. Because if we are 100% honest, a lot of the negativity, the things that go against who we are, who we're called to be, a lot of what is said is not coming from the outside voices. It's coming from your inner voice. It's coming from you. It's you who believes that you're not good enough. It's you who believe that you're not qualified. There are other people out here looking at you like, girl, you are killing it. Like, I think that she's amazing. I love what she posts. I love what she shares. I love how she's always encouraging. I love how she's always inspiring. I love how when I come around her, my spirit is lifted. I love that when I see her, her smile lights up the room. And you're over here like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Nobody listens to me. Nobody cares what I have to say. Nothing that I do is important. Like, we're over here saying all of these different things, and you have no idea how you view yourself and what you think about yourself. There are people who think the complete opposite, who think the world of you, who think that you are amazing, who think that you are beautiful, who thinks that you are creative, who thinks that you are inspiring, encouraging, that you are a world changer. There are people who see you in a very different light than you see yourself. But just consider this. Consider how amazing it could be and how life-changing it could be if you were able to see yourself through the lens of someone who is chosen, to see yourself through a lens of someone who is called, who is worthy, who is valuable, who is necessary for such a time as this. Imagine if you could see yourself through the lens of God. Imagine if you could see yourself as someone who could set your city on fire if you were to fully become confident in who it is that you have always been created to be. Imagine what would happen. Imagine the lives that could be changed. Imagine how you could fully walk in confidence and become the person that you were always created to be. You got to understand that just because you're not yet who you want to be, it doesn't mean that person does not exist. It does not mean that it's unattainable. It does not mean that it will never happen. It's work. It's a process. But you got to be willing to show up for you. You have to be willing to say and acknowledge, like, hey, there are some things that I need to change. There's some things that I'll need to work on. There's some things that I need to improve, and I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to show up for myself because I owe it to myself. I owe it to myself, and I owe it to God to be who He created me to be. And so I want to encourage you all with that. I'm going to be real honest. This is not what my notes were on, but I feel like what was said was what was necessary, and we will always have further time to have the conversation regarding healing your mindset, but this is a component of it too. Healing the self-talk that you have done that has been detrimental to your growth, your confidence, your boldness. You got to start speaking life over yourself, and you have to start speaking to yourself as someone who is loved, who is chosen, who is called, who is special, who is gifted, who is talented, who is anointed, who is all the things. You have to start speaking to yourself in the way that you talk to other people, because we always say this, but it's fact, so I'm gonna say it as well. You would never allow somebody to talk to themselves the way that you talk to you sometimes. And what I mean by this is, if you were to hear somebody say the things that you say about yourself, you would encourage them, you would tell them all of these different things about how great they are. Why not do that for yourself? Why not preach to yourself, girl? Like, seriously, why not big up yourself in that same way? Because you're valuable, you're important, you're necessary, you're powerful, you're amazing. You can be confident, you can be bold, you can do the things. That's you too, sis. It's not just everybody else. That's you too. So I hope that this was encouraging to you all. We went a little left, but we got here. We accomplished what we needed to, and like I said, there will always be time to further the conversation on healing your mindset, because truth be told, every single episode is an opportunity for us to think about the things that we have accepted as truth, the things that we are still learning, processing. All of that is an opportunity for you to be like, hey, do I need to change that? Do I need to have a change of heart? Do I need to fix this? Is this something that I need to improve? Is this something I need to work on? Is this something I'm good with? It'll forever be an ongoing conversation. But healing your mindset is so important, because it really does help to start the process of you fully becoming who it is that you've always wanted to be. So I hope you were encouraged. Make sure that you share this with a girlfriend. And until next time, Be whole, be healed, and be authentic. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into A Change of Heart podcast. I hope you were encouraged, and please take a moment to share with a girlfriend, and don't forget to download the episode. Lastly, I would love to connect with you. You can follow me on Instagram at Angel C. Walston and at A Change of Heart podcast. Have an amazing week, and don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic.